Most people, when they see someone who may or may not be what they claim to be, there can kind of be a question of how can I trust this person? If someone's claiming to be an expert in drop shipping, why are they selling me a course on drop shipping? Wouldn't they just have all the money from drop shipping? You know what I mean? Um, you might think I'm grifting as someone who's schizophrenic. To that, I would ask you to define schizophrenia, and I will be waiting for your definition. Because if you give me anything other than symptoms, guess what? You're claiming to know more than science does, so kudos to you. What I did want to show is that not everything has to be scary, right? Sometimes things can be cool. For instance, I got some sideways eyes from my dad. Right, I was during one of my psychotic episodes, the most recent one. I got out of the hospital and I was settling back down, and I'd go spend a month with my dad. It literally, I didn't have a choice. He was like, basically with the situation, I had to get picked up from the hospital, and only him or my mom could pick me up. And so he just kind of decided I'm staying with him for a month and we're going to have some bonding time and all this stuff, right? Um, we didn't bond that much. All we bonded over was I said something to him like cuz he was like, "Oh yeah, we're going to stay sober. We're going to do all this. We're going to bond all this." Really lame. And he, right? I wanted to make a game. I was in the middle of all this psychosis stuff, right? It's not very becoming, you might think, to get creative in that kind of space. But I didn't know how to be creative before I went psychotic, which you can take that as you want to. Maybe you can see why a lot of my stuff doesn't make any sense. But this is um it's very light pencil, so it's probably hard to see. But this is a board, right? There's kind of a lot of stuff going on here. I'll kind of go through it. I wanted you to see it, but again, it's pencil. It's probably hard to make out. But I've got free parking. You land on free parking, guess what? You get another dice, right? There's no $500 in the center. If you land on free parking, you get another dice. That's crazy. And there's a go. Well, we actually have two goes, right? This isn't just any kind of Monopoly. This is, say it with me, Leo, not Poke Monopoly. That was kind of one idea. Maybe poker, right? Not Pokemon Monopoly, Poker Monopoly, which makes even less sense. But I thought the number one thing missing from Monopoly is gambling. And so how do you add that? Well, I didn't know. I was like, yeah, it'd be fun to add in gambling, but how does all this work, right? I mean, we've got, you know, oh, look at this. If you land on this, it doubles all bets, up the ante. That's cool. Oh, if you land on this space, you lose a dice. So if I only have two dice, I'm down to one. It's going to be hard to move around the board. But if I land on free parking, I can have three dice. How many dice am I out of the hat? How many dice can I have? You can have six dice. Kind of like Pokemon. Yeah. But so you can have up to six dice. When you start the game, you don't have any dice. You have zero dice. Because my biggest problem with Monopoly, and part of what's funny about it, right, you start with $1,500 in Monopoly. That's stupid. You should start with $0 in Monopoly. You should have to take out a loan in Monopoly. You don't have any dice, right? You gotta buy dice. So to do anything, to start the game, we're all starting at go. There's 2 different go spots, so we're not all starting in the same place. You can go where you want to. But the idea was you start with nothing. You have to go into debt to do anything. And you're trying to take down the house. You can win individually. You can all win and take down the house. There's kind of a lot of things. This was also just a prototype. But me, Leo, and some of my other Pokemon did play a full game of Poker Monopoly. Several, but we did one true game of Poker Monopoly that actually was fun. And I'm sure there's plenty of board game developers out there who could teach me a thing or two about making a board game and not overcomplicating things. But what I found annoying was right after I came up with this game, apparently there was some new board game or something. I'm sure Hasbro bought it and published it or something. That was kind of based on gambling. It may have been like trivia gambling, like you game, like almost like if every question's or not double Jeopardy, daily, like a daily double in Jeopardy. I saw this trivia game. I saw a board game that had gambling in it after I worked on this, and I kind of went, "Oh shoot, people already kind of thought of it." But the more I think about it, who cares if someone already thought of something? Like, gambling's not what I have to be the first one to make a board game with gambling in it. It's freaking Poker Monopoly. Like, it's derivative as hell. Like, there are duels, right? So, how do you duel? Well, we play casino games. Like, so, for instance, I for a bit was using an Uno deck, but you could use just like a regular playing card deck. I just used the Uno deck because I liked that there were like things that weren't just like ace through king, right? Or 2 through ace, however you want to look at it. There's like the reverse, the pluses, and like in my head, I'm just like, what could those things that aren't just numbers do? And so thinking about all this stuff, it's like, wow, yeah, you can kind of try to come up with a game. But that's cool and everything. We got to make a video game. So how the fuck do we do that? Given this. Because this is something. Like... And the reason why this is something is because what's the most boring part about Monopoly? How long it takes, right? So how do you keep Monopoly interesting? Hey Leo, it's your turn to roll. You've only got 1 dice. Oh, you want to go into debt and buy another dice? Better be careful, man. You don't want to take on too much debt. All this stuff, right? How would one get out of debt? How would all this stuff, right? Leo goes 100 grand into debt, right? Kind of $100 into debt, however you want to look at it, to get another dice so he can move around the board easier. So Leo rolls, and I go, hey, it'd be fun if I could bet on your roll, right? In fact, I bet $10,000 that Leo here rolls doubles on his next roll. And oh, look at that. He got 2 5s. So he gets to move 10 spaces, and I called doubles. Anyone know what the odds of doubles are? 1 in 6. So that's what we pay out. So everything pays out directly based on odds. There's no house winning anything. But you can bet, right? We're trying to take down the house ultimately. And one person can do it or we can all do it. And that's kind of the dynamic part of it. Like, I hate how in Monopoly one person has to win. It'd be more fun if halfway through, right, there's like 4 people playing, and then someone goes, I want to be on this person's team. I want out. We're gonna merge, and now we have all this stuff. It's like, hey, that's unfair, man. That's unfair. You can't, right? Oh, okay, I'll just quit then. Like, these are the worst kinds of people to play board games with. But then, if you have a board game that has everyone, right? I'm about to roll. I got Leo over here betting on odds. I got Milo over here betting on doubles. I got Kayla over here that's betting that I'm gonna roll one off the table or something. It's kind of fun. And the more I thought about it like that, the more I had a different idea for the game, right? Because it's poker Monopoly. But what it reminds me more of with all this gambling is the stock market. So what if instead of it just being properties and hotels and like all this stuff, what if the game is to take down Wall Street? I think that'd be fun. You know? Maybe you learn what a bond actually is. Maybe you learn why boomers freak out when the 10-year yield inverts and all that stuff. Maybe there'd be some form of financial education instead of, you know, the Parker brothers. Parker brothers didn't invent Monopoly. A woman did. Isn't that fun? I actually... Western Illinois. Went there for a little bit. The woman who made Monopoly was from there. Isn't that crazy? What are the chances? But so I found this because I was cleaning stuff up. I wasn't planning on making a video, but it did just kind of give me an idea that maybe this board game has some legs. But you know what's more fun than a board game? A video game. So how do we make this a video game? That's what we're going to try to tackle. But I also wanted to show this off because I came up with it all when I was psychotic. And the more I think about it, even though my way of thinking was off, I am grateful that I got to learn to think, not even outside the box, not even, right, think outside the box. I didn't even realize a box was there, right? I was thinking like I had just kicked the box across the room, not just peeking my head out. I freaking kicked it across the room, freaking, what if we did this, what if we did this, what if we did this, tested it myself with my Pokemon, until it was fun. And then I got discouraged because guess what? I decided I wanted to go back to college. But this is pretty cool. Let me know if you ever want to play sometime. Or, you know, actual Monopoly. Challenge still stands from the last video. But what kind of board games are all you guys kicking around out there you're not telling me about? Leo has an idea for a board game where basically you have a deck of cards in the middle of a board. And the cards are communal. And everyone gets 2. So there's all these cards. Everyone gets 2 cards, right? Oh, sounds like poker. Wait. Okay, Leo's card game idea is Texas Hold'em poker, so disregard. My bad.